Hey, welcome back, guys, to Confessions of a Doctorholic. This week in medicine is one of the most emotionally intense roller coasters of the entire training journey. It's match week. Earlier this week, medical students across the country and globe received an email that told them something incredibly important. Just a few words. Did you match or not? For many people, that email brings on incredible sense of relief. Years of studying, applications, interviews, and suddenly you know you're going to be starting residency somewhere. But for some students, the email says something else. It says you did not match to any position. And I want to talk about that today because this moment can feel incredibly heavy. And it is the dreaded email of everyone. When you've spent years working towards something, it's natural to feel like everything is falling apart when it doesn't happen the way you expected. But one thing I want to say clearly right at the beginning is this. Not matching does not mean that you failed. And it definitely does not mean you can't become an excellent physician. The match process is complicated. Sometimes it's competitiveness of a specialty. Sometimes it's timing. Sometimes it's just the way the algorithm falls. Every year, there are incredibly talented, hardworking applicants who simply don't match on the first try. And many of those people go on to have incredible careers. So today I want to talk about some of the paths forward because there are actually more options than most people realize. And because some of you might have a bit of a fog right now, so I feel like I want to help you take that next step forward. So the first option most people hear about is something called SOAP, which stands for the Supplemental Offer and Acceptance Program. This is the process that happens during match week where students who didn't match apply to residency programs that still have unfilled spots. It moves very quickly, applications go out, programs review them, interviews can happen at any time. Like you literally get a phone call, you interview. Offers are released over several rounds. It's fast, it's stressful, and emotionally exhausting. But many students do successfully secure residency positions through SOAP every year. Now, the reason I'm not going into a step-by-step explanation here is because I actually made an entire YouTube video explaining SOAP in detail. So check it out on Hafsa Slayman on YouTube. Because the process is complicated, and honestly, it's much easier to understand visually when you see a screen and clicking through the screen. So if you're someone trying to understand how SOAP works, I've broken it down on my channel. Prelim positions. Another path some people take is a preliminary or transitional program position. These are typically a 1-year residency position in specialties like surgery or internal medicine. Some applicants take a prelim year as a way to strengthen their application before reapplying to categorical programs the following cycle. During that year, you gain valuable clinical experience, you can get new letters of recommendation, you can get mentorship, and you can get further exposure to the specialty. For some people, that extra year of experience can make a huge difference when they apply again. And for many international graduates, this is your pathway into the US, particularly for very challenging surgical specialties. And it can also be a plug-in for research if you're considering some surgical subspecialties. Now we're walking into the territory of things many people don't talk about, but definitely happen. Off-cycle residency positions. This is something many students don't realize, that residency positions open up outside the match cycle. And there are times when people accept these outside of the match cycle and they can literally drop out of the match. Programs occasionally lose residents unexpectedly, residents transfer, programs expand, or new positions become available. So, literally, new programs open up and become accredited by the ACGME. When that happens, these spots may be advertised outside of the match, or sometimes out of the blue on the ACGME website, you can find a list of new programs that opened up. And again, this is something I actually made a YouTube video about because finding these positions requires looking in specific places, like specialty organization websites and program announcements. Sometimes you can find them on the gram, sometimes for specific subspecialties like urology, ENT, plastics, you can find it on their official website. But it's not always obvious where to look unless someone shows you. Another really good website is Resident Swap. I would say it can be a little bit slower than the actual website. Sometimes it's a little bit faster, and you would have to pay to find out exactly what the requirements are or the email. But I think it's a great resource. Even if you haven't paid for the membership, you can at least look at the vacancies. So if you're interested in learning how to find these opportunities, I explain that process and show you some links in that video. Research years. Another option that many applicants consider is taking a gap research year. This is especially common for more competitive specialties. During that year, people may work with academic mentors, publish papers, strengthen their CV, and build stronger connections within their field. And when they reapply the following year, they often come back with a much stronger application. Or even something that people don't realize is that these networks really matter. So if people like you in your research year or in your preliminary year, they can even take you for their own program, which is often the biggest connection that you make. So if you want to take a research year, if you want to take a prelim year, I would suggest prioritizing the areas that you don't mind ending up in over other areas. Next, I want to talk to you about perspective. The most important thing to remember is that medicine is a long career. It can feel like everything depends on this one single moment, but in reality, many physicians take paths that are not perfectly straight. Some people match on their second attempt, sometimes on their third. Some people change specialties and they realize once they're in residency, this is not really what they wanted to do for the rest of their lives or how they imagined their life would be like. Some people take research years and discover opportunities they have never expected. I literally know someone who ended up being in a massive pharmaceutical company and literally being one of the board members or whatever one of those fancy schmancy job titles are. And sometimes the detours in your career ends up shaping you in ways that makes you a better physician. Because struggle builds resilience, and resilience is one of the most important qualities you can have in medicine. One thing I've learned working in the hospital is that everyone's journey looks different. Some of the best doctors I've met took paths that didn't go exactly according to plan. It could be early, it could be later. Some people develop cancers. Some people end up in car accidents. Sometimes people have traumatic falls from the top when they're rock climbing. And yet they still ended up exactly where they were meant to be. So if you're someone listening to this who didn't match this year, I hope you remember that. This moment may feel huge right now, but it is not the end of your journey. Confession of the day. Sometimes the path to becoming a doctor isn't straight, but the detours can teach you the most.